Yes, so I go back to chapter 5. This is chapter 5c, the part of chapter 5, and it's relationship between orthogonal polynomial and Sheffer polynomial. The intersection of the two is 5 orthogonal polynomial, and I'm going to show the relationship with the umbral calculus. So orthogonal Sheffer polynomial, we have defined it in previous lecture by this. The generating function is of this type. There is two power series g and f, such that if you take the product of g by exponential of x of f of t, then it gives you an exponential generating function for some polynomial in x. This is one possible definition of Sheffer polynomial. We will see many other equivalent definitions. In a special case where g of t equal t, there is only the exponential. This is called binomial type polynomial. So this is the definition we have used in the class. And then there is the famous Mechner theorem, which says that this theorem is in fact for real polynomial, the real number, and with, see, there is some positivity, etc. But I think this theorem is true for the formal general orthogonal polynomial, that they say that orthogonal polynomial are Sheffer polynomial if and only if, in the three-term recurrence relation, the bk is linear in k, the lambda k is quadratic in k, and you must have c plus d must be non-zero. I mean that this can be zero, but here you must have at least a linear polynomial. It's cannot be all everybody zero. And then the Mechner theorem say that there is only 5 types of classical orthogonal polynomial. It's the Hermite, the Laguerre, the Charlier, the Mechner, and Mechner-Polacek. This is only the 5 possible when we are the real number. We will see that we can do this in a formal way, and then there is a general Sheffer polynomial with many parameters. And in the ASCII orthogonal classification, here are the 5 Sheffer polynomial. I put it also in the same color. It's not a Sheffer polynomial, Jacobi, but because it's very close. We have seen the interpretation of the Jacobi polynomial by using the exponential structure, which is a structure below the Sheffer polynomial. So at the beginning, there was some confusion for the combinatorics of orthogonal polynomial, because when you work with, at the lower level, Charlier, Laguerre, and Hermite, at the same time, they are Sheffer and orthogonal. So to do the combinatorics, the confusion was to try, there was 2 different interpretations. The Sheffer polynomial go to exponential structure, and the orthogonality go to Motzkin path, weighted path. So this is totally different. At the lower level, at the beginning, it takes time to separate the 2 interpretations. So Sheffer polynomial, there is another possible definition using the so-called delta operator. I'm going to explain what is a delta operator, and this is the basis of what is called umbral calculus. So the basic paper is by Giancarlo Rota in 1973, finite operator calculus. It's to put some firm basis, what is called umbral calculus. Umbral is, in French, is ombre. Ombre is a shadow. So you are making calculus in the shadow, and then you put them back in the light, and it works. So I am going to show you an example. So umbral calculus began with Blissard in 1861. Maybe also Luca and Sylvester contribute to introduce this. And Bell in the 1340, he tried. This is like magic. I'm going to show you an example. You take some identities, then the indices below, you put them an exponent. You do your things which is totally not at all rigorous, and then you go back, the exponent go back down, and then it works. So Bell tried to explain why it works, and he did not succeed. Riordan in his book also used a lot of this umbral calculus. So I give you an example. What means umbral calculus? An example with the so-called Bernoulli polynomial. It's Bernoulli polynomial. It's related to the Bernoulli numbers. And this is a possible definition of Bernoulli numbers, of Bernoulli polynomial. It's a polynomial equal to this. And Bn minus k is the Bernoulli numbers, which is a rational numbers. This is one possible definition of the Bernoulli polynomial. Another possible definition is to say that the generating function, exponential generating function of Bernoulli polynomial is this. So, it's equivalent. I'm not going to discuss the detail, but just to give you an idea, what is the umbral calculus for the Bernoulli polynomial? So you start from this identity. And umbral calculus means the indices, you put them on the top, like this. And it became an exponent. So this is equal to b plus x power n. I don't know what is b, but if you put an exponent, b plus x power n, if you make the binomial, this is the trick. It was below, and then you put it above, and this summation, suppose b is a number or variable, then it would be b plus x power n. So we are in the shadow. We are in some calculus, which means nothing. But now, take the derivative of this polynomial. So equal the derivative of this is n, b plus n power n minus 1. And this, if I go back now, I put back the indices. This is n times bn minus 1. This is b plus x power n minus 1. You put back the exponent to indices, and it gives you back this. And in fact, if you take this polynomial by definition, you take the derivative, it will be rigorous. We will get this formula. So this is the idea of umbral calculus. You have some calculus with indices, you uplift the indices in exponent, it means nothing. What means b plus x?
You're putting a plus sign.
A plus
b plus
x, yes, b plus x.
So when you lift the sign,
because b plus
that's
x,
just that, okay.
no, b plus x power n,
Oh, that's from that.
it's a binomial, huh? It's just a binomial, it's a binomial formula, it's sigma of just takes b and x as variable.
Okay. Sorry, yeah.
Expand this power n, this is just a binomial formula. And then I go back, and I get this.
Yeah.
And then you can rigorous proof, you can get the rigorous proof that in fact if you take this derivative, you get this. But this is the idea of umbral calculus. You leave the indices, you make like if it was what I have done here, which makes nonsense with b power n, what it means. No, it's Bernoulli b power something. B is it was supposed to be b index, the Bernoulli numbers. Now b is a variable which power n. So this is the idea of umbral calculus. You are in the light here, then you go in the shadow below, you do your kitchen recipe, and then you go back to the light and it works. So Bell tried to make some firm foundation to why it is working. It's like magic. And so it was in the 70s only that Giancarlo Rota, he gave, in his fundamental paper 73, he defined the Scheffer polynomial and he explained why it is working by using a linear functional. Even Steve Roman, he have written a book after the fundamental paper of Giancarlo Rota was in 73. So here is a picture of Giancarlo Rota. He died suddenly when he was 66, and he died. He was supposed to give a lecture on a Monday, and he died in the night. And people were waiting at the lecture, and where is Giancarlo? And he was dead during the night in his bed. And so he was very active. So he was the only professor in MIT having a chair of applied mathematics and philosophy. And so he is one of the father foundation of the combinatorics in the United States. He is in Boston, in East Coast, and he has many students, 50 students about. And so he established the beginning of the combinatorics and algebraic combinatorics in the United States. And so this paper on umbral calculus was paper number 8 of a series of papers, the foundation of combinatorial theory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. And he introduced the Möbius function. In fact, it was already defined earlier by Philip Hall, and he popularized the notion of Möbius function for a poset.
Delsart.
Delsart? Oh, Delsart.
Yeah, for finite abelian groups.
For finite abelian group, but for any poset, sometimes it's attributed to Giancarlo Rota, but as usual, when you, like the LGV lemma, you discover something, you are very happy, and then people say, but it was 20 years ago, in a different language, in a paper that everybody has forgotten. But it's good to popularize, not maybe to discover, but to rediscover and popularize the idea. And so he has about So you have many students, in particular Bill Chain, Ayman, and especially Catherine Yan and Richard Stanley. And Richard Stanley, he has about 60 students, and most of them are, many of them are leaders in combinatorics in the United States. So this was the foundation of algebraic and enumerative combinatorics, algebraic combinatorics in the United States. And in fact, also I is in San Diego on the West Coast. And I remember in '78, he was learning, he told me, he was Garcia were Italian, born in Italy. Garcia is born in Tunisia. He's Italian, Tunisian, American. In fact, Garcia was invited at the international meeting to give a lecture in analysis. And then he read the paper of Rota on umbral calculus 73, and then he began to be interested in combinatorics. So he rewrote the paper for himself. Rota was not so happy that he was rewriting. And then in '78, it was a great year. Stanley came in San Diego. Pierre Leroux was there. I was there. And so Stanley gave a whole class, the whole book of Stanley in '78. So we learned the combinatorics with Adriano, etc. And then Adriano became a big leader, one father of combinatorics in the United States, in the West Coast. And he's born in '28. So they are going to celebrate the 90th birthday in June in San Diego. In fact, 91, he said. And Rota would be maybe 86 now. Garcia is older than Giancarlo Rota. So maybe I mentioned all this detail because I have known them very well personally, going east and west. And so go back to the umbral calculus. And so Sheffer polynomial, they are going to be defined by two, what is called delta operator. And the general Sheffer is defined by. And in this lecture, going back to orthogonal polynomial, I will give combinatorial interpretation of the Q and S operator for the 5 class of Sheffer polynomial. So I must first go to the Sheffer and definition with delta operator. This is another definition. And so this was a fundamental paper in '73. So we start, in general K is a field. Probably anything would work in our class for formal way with a ring. And we take, as usual, a sequence of polynomial in the ring of polynomial. And the degree of each Pn is equal to n. As usual, sequence, it's from a basis of the space of polynomial and definition. So this is the definition, possible definition. Binomial type polynomial are going to be defined this way. So forget about what I said before. Exponential, f and g. Forget everything, and we start from the beginning, like in the paper of '73. Binomial type polynomial are defined by this. It's a sequence of polynomial. Each Pn is of degree n, such that Pn of x plus y is the sum of n choose k, pk of x, Pn minus k of y. So, for example, x power n is a sequence of binomial type polynomial. The most simple, the monomial. But in general, you have many, many polynomials like this. So to define, there is another definition using delta operator. So I am going to introduce the algebra of operators which are shift invariant operators. So T is an operator acting on the space of polynomial. So I will denote T. T is an operator, a linear functional from the space of polynomial to the space of polynomial, and usually we will write like this, Tp of x, but formally it should be written like this. You take the polynomial P, apply operator T, and this is a polynomial in the variable x. But I will confuse the two notation, same as in the paper of Giancarlo Rota. And then there is an operator called E index A, which is a shift operator. If you take a polynomial for a fixed A, then you change a polynomial in P of x plus A.
What is TP you didn't say?
TP, T for any operator. It's a notation. This is a notation.
Oh, okay.
Notation.
So for example.
This is a notation. This is a possible operator. The shift operator, you have a sequence of polynomial. You have a polynomial, then you can shift by a fixed A, fixed variable A. And so definition, the shift invariant operator. Because operator in the space of polynomial, you can make a composition. You can make a product of two operators, like a composition of operator. on the vector space of polynomial. Shift invariant means that the operator T is shift invariant if and only if it's commute with the shift operator. First applying T and then to shift. So this is shift invariant operator. This is abstract definition, formal definition. Shift invariant, we are going to see that there is an algebra, you can compose, take the sum. Invariant operator is isomorphic to algebra of formal power theory. It's another way. But then first define what is delta operator Q. So delta operator, invariant operator. And second, Q, if you apply the operator Q to the monomial X, it's a non-zero constant. It's this condition. Then as soon as you have a shift invariant operator with this condition, then you have this lemma that for any polynomial of degree n, then Qp, if you apply Q to the polynomial P, then it's give a polynomial of degree n minus 1 because of shift invariant property. So I will just state definition and proposition. This class is on bijective interpretation of orthogonal polynomial, but just to remind you, I will make a summary in 15 minutes of the first part of Rota papers about delta operator, Scheffer polynomial, and binomial type polynomial. So see the definition of a delta operator Q is these two conditions. It's shift invariant operator, and Q of X is non-zero constant. And then from only this condition and shift invariant, then for any polynomial P, the Q of the polynomial, if P is of degree n, then the Q of P is of degree n minus 1. So each time is decrease the degree of any polynomial by 1. Sometimes this is taken as a definition of delta operator. But it's sufficient to have this condition to get this stronger condition. So we have defined shift invariant. We have first binomial type polynomial, shift invariant operator, and then delta operator. And then another definition. If you take a delta operator, a sequence of polynomial P n of x is called to be basic for the delta operator Q if and only if you have the three following conditions. First condition, P0 of x is 1. Second condition, Pn of 0 equals 0 for every n. So it's yes, it's constant term is 0. And then Q of Pn is n time Pn minus 1 of x. It's like if you take x power n, take the derivative, it gives you n times x power n minus 1. So this is a possible definition of Q, of a basic sequence for a Q delta operator. And then proposition, every delta operator has a unique sequence of basic polynomial. And proposition 2, to be binomial type is equivalent to say that it is a basic sequence for some delta operator. So this gives you two possible definitions of binomial type polynomial. The definition with Pn of x plus y equal like the binomial theorem, and this definition, which is attached to a delta operator. So you see, for any binomial type polynomial, there exists a certain operator Q. And then I was talking about an isomorphism between the algebra of shift invariant operator and the algebra of formal power theory. The isomorphism is the following. Define this very special, this is a Q operator. The derivative is the most simple of the Q operator. And then the isomorphism is that any shift invariant polynomial can be written like this. It's an isomorphism, so the composition of this is going to be the product. So it's equal to a formal power series. And a Q delta operator. So in a Q delta operator, in fact, you have a power series Q of t where Q equal, you replace t, variable t, by capital D. So in a Q delta operator can be written this way. And what is the condition? The lemma is a delta operator. If t is a delta operator, a shift invariant operator, which is more general, is the delta operator if and only if H0 equals 0. So in the power series Q of t, the constant term is 0, and the term of degree 1 is not 0.
What was the definition of delta again? It was shift with
Delta,
yeah.
delta operator was, it was, delta, I went too fast. So delta operator definition is shift invariant and plus QX non-zero. But it's equivalent to more stronger condition. It's shift invariant and for any polynomial B of degree n, the Q of P become of degree n minus 1.
So the differential operator doesn't have to be homogeneous, but it needs
differential,
constant degree 0.
It's like the differential operator D. So in the power series, which represent Q, the constant term is 0, and the term of degree 1 is not 0. Unless it's like if you take double, if your degree can decrease by 2. If you take, for example, d to the square, then you apply to polynomial, the degree will decrease by 2. No, it's the constant term, which is a term in D, must be non-zero. So, which means the polynomial is going to decrease the degree only by 1. So this was basic. So this is a set of basic polynomial for delta operator. Then equivalence between the two definitions of binomial type polynomial and basic sequence. And then isomorphism between the shift invariant operator and the formal power series. And in the special case of delta operator, which is a subset of this algebra, then you have these two conditions. In general, if the shift invariant operator, if the constant term is non-zero, then it's equivalent to say that t is invertible. You can take the inverse of t. It exists if and only if the constant term of the power series is not 0. It's the same as for power series. You can inverse the power series if it begins by 1 plus something or a constant plus something. So this is the framework, the delta operator, shift invariant, basic sequence, binomial type polynomial. So now if you have a delta operator, you have a basic sequence, a unique basic sequence for Q, then proposition, the exponential derivative function of Pn is exponential of this. So I am going back to the definition I gave in the class before of Scheffer and binomial type polynomial. Binomial type polynomial, you remember, was derivative function was this, exponential of x, another derivative function. But now, when you take the derivative function, the Q is a reciprocal, the inversion, like the Lagrange inversion formula. If you have a derivative function for Q, then here you have the inverse for the Lagrange inversion. Q in bracket minus 1. Is the inverse for the composition of a power series. We have said it in part 1, Lagrange inversion formula. It's a power series. If you substitute t by Q of t, this will give you t. And then comes the definition of Scheffer sequence of polynomial. It's not the same as I have given before in the class. So forget the definition before. I will give a new definition and show that it is equivalent to the definition I gave before. So a sequence Pn of x is called a Scheffer sequence of polynomial for the delta operator Q. If and only if you have these two following conditions. First condition, P0 of x is a constant which is not 0. And second condition, if you apply the delta operator Q to the sequence Pn, this gives you n times Pn minus 1. So say you have, if you remember the binomial type definition, there was 3 conditions. 1, 2, 3. Here I delete the condition 2, and condition 1 was 1 for the, here I put a non-zero constant. So I am weakening the definition of binomial. There was 3 conditions to define, now it's 1 and 3.
What was condition 2?
2 was, if you apply Q to the polynomial Pn, what was Q2? So this is a definition in this setting of Scheffer polynomial. It's a Scheffer sequence for a certain delta operator Q. And so proposition, if you have a delta operator Q, and Qn, the basic sequence for Q, there is a unique basic sequence for, then, and Pn of x is Scheffer for Q, if and only if there exists another delta operator, S, invertible, so S, if you associate the power series of S, it's a constant term in not zero, such that you have Pn of x is S minus 1 of Qn of x. So S is invertible, it's a shift invariant, so it's related to power series where the constant term is not zero. Or if you prefer, S of Pn equal Qn. So if you take the Scheffer type polynomial, you apply a certain operator S of the shift invariant of the algebra sigma, you apply S to Pn and you get Qn. And S is invertible, which means that the constant term related to the power series, there is a morphism between shift invariant and power series, is non-zero. Sorry to give you an avalanche of proposition and definition. It's not the topics of the class. It's just to show you that Scheffer polynomials are defined by 2 operators S and Q. You can take this for the orthogonal polynomial we are going to do. You can take this as any sequence of Scheffer polynomial, in particular the 5 orthogonal polynomial Scheffer, Hermite, Mexner, Laguerre, etc. They exist, they can be defined by 2 operators S and Q. S is a delta operator, but the power series, the generic function, starts with a non-constant term, and Q is also a delta operator, but the constant term is 0, so the power series starts D plus something. And now Scheffer is also equivalent to this. This is the analog of the first definition of binomial type polynomial, that Pn of x plus y equal sum over, but instead of pk, you say you have the Scheffer polynomial, but q power n x n minus k is a binomial type polynomial. So it's a different possible definition of Scheffer polynomial. So to our 5 orthogonal polynomial, there exist 2 operators, delta operator S and Q, which are defined by power series. S is a power series with non-constant term, and Q is a power series with a 0, the minimal element. So what are S and Q? So this is the purpose of this chapter 5c, after this preliminary, which are outside of the orthogonal polynomial, to give a commutative interpretation of S and Q. S and Q are in power series, so you define 2 power series, S of t and Q of t. If you replace t by the operator, the differential operator d, and then you can define a sequence of Scheffer polynomial. So what is the generating function? You can write this as a consequence of all what I have done before, that the exponential generating function of your Scheffer polynomial is equal, here is a function g of t. I have, in the previous definition, Scheffer was this, g of t multiplied exponential x f of t. So now you have exactly the generating function in front here, g of t, I called g of t before, and here we have exactly f of t. Except that now you have 2 other power series, S and Q. They are different power series. And so this is g of t, and this is f of t. So, now I am going to use the inverse polynomial. We have defined in chapter 1d, we have defined if you have a sequence of orthogonal polynomial, there exists inverse polynomial, and they are interpreted by the sum of the weight of Motzkin path going from level 0 to level k. And my purpose is for 5 orthogonal polynomial to give interpretation of this S and Q. S and Q are two power series, but here you can see them. For example, for the Laguerre, G of t was 1 over 1 minus t power alpha plus 1, f of t was exponential. So this was very simple derivative function, G and f, but here I don't have G and f, I have S of composition with the reciprocal of this function f of t. So what is interpretation in terms of the history, in terms of combinatorics we have done before? And so I'm going to use the inverse polynomial. If you have a sequence of polynomial Pn, you can make the inverse polynomial. We have defined this in chapter 1D. If you have so you can write a monomial like this. Each polynomial Pn is of degree n. So you have the inverse sequence of polynomial. This was defined in chapter 1D. And now there is a proposition that if a sequence of polynomial is Sheffer polynomial, then the inverse sequence is also Sheffer polynomial. Both of them. And in chapter 1, we have interpreted the inverse polynomial. And so, proposition, if you have Sheffer polynomial with operator S and D, the inverse sequence are Sheffer polynomial with this operator T and any sequence of Sheffer polynomial, the inverse sequence is also Sheffer. And this is because of this geodetic function here. If this is the operator for the operator T, the operator S, the operator Q, and you can deduce this. This is S and Q, delta operator for Pn, and this is a T and P in this formula, delta operator for the inverse sequence. And conclusion is that the generating function for polynomial is this, generating function for the inverse sequence is this. And so my problem is to interpret the S and Q operator for the sequence of orthogonal polynomial, the power series S of t and Q of t, but they are here. S and Q appear as elementary, they appear naturally in the inverse sequence. So I'm going to work with the inverse sequence of polynomial to look what is the S, what is the Q, and then I will get an interpretation of operator S, operator Q, for my 5 orthogonal polynomial. Pn is the orthogonal polynomial. Hermite, Charlier, etc., etc. Qn is the inverse sequence. So some people, they prefer, instead of talking delta operator, shift invariant, Sheffer polynomial, they prefer to talk about this tableau. If you have a sequence of Sheffer polynomial, suppose Pn is Sheffer, the inverse sequence is also Sheffer, and this tableau is they call this Riordan array. So there is especially the Italian schools, they have many papers on they look like this, like matrices and the shift invariant operator form an algebra. Even it's a group. There is a group of binomial type polynomial, and you can work everything with matrices, triangle array, Riordan array. Because Riordan was a lot of identity in this book come from this philosophy, the spirit of Sheffer and delta operator. But we have seen that with spaces, when you have this form, G of t exponential f x f of t, this is supposed to be the generating function for the delta operator S. This is the derivative function for the operator Q for the inverse sequence of Pn. And then this can be interpreted like this. G of t times exponential f of t. So you have, in the species interpretation, you have a certain species G interpreting the derivative function G of t. You have a certain species F, and you have an assembly of F structure. An assembly means taking the exponential, and x multiply f of t means you put a weight x for each block. So you see, Sheffer polynomial is exactly this. You have two species f and g, and you of two different kinds, and here is one kind, and you are taking an assembly of the other kind, and you have x for each block here. And q and s are the generating function, what we have done here. S and q are here. So this assembly of G and F is the assembly related to the inverse polynomial of Pn. We have seen the Laguerre, for example. They have when we interpret Laguerre, it was an assembly of a chain and cycle, but no, I am in the inverse polynomial. So I am going to get S and Q totally different than the interpretation of the polynomials themselves. Now the special case of a Sheffer polynomial. Sheffer polynomial is related to a pair SQ of two delta operators. I remind you, S is always with a constant term is not zero. Q, the constant term is zero. In the case, very special, but Q equals D. Then it's called Appel sequence of polynomial, Pn. And in that case, it's equivalent to say that this is an equivalent definition, that the derivative of Pn is equal to n times Pn minus 1. And for every n bigger or equal to 1, P0 of x is a non-zero constant. And I have two examples. Hermite is of this kind, and Bernoulli polynomial is of this kind. We have seen that Bernoulli polynomial with the umbral, the magic of the umbral calculus, we have seen for the Bernoulli polynomial. So this is, for orthogonal polynomial, this is the only example. By the way, I make a mistake a few lectures before. I say the Hermite polynomial was binomial type. No, I mean not binomial type. It's polynomial with Q equal D, so it's not binomial type, it's a Appel sequence. Binomial type means that there is the two species G and F, and it means that binomial type means there is only F. So for Appel sequence, this is a picture with species. For Appel sequence, we have the G and the F is reduced to one block. So for F, Q equal T, so the derivative function Q of T is T, and this is a Hermite polynomial is of this kind. It's not a binomial type. It's a Sheffer type, but very special. The species F is reduced to this power series. Q equal D. So in general, if I want to interpret Q and S, the two delta operators defining Sheffer polynomial, for each of the 5 polynomials, I need to go to the inverse polynomial. So I remind you, if I have a 3-term recurrence relation with polynomial, with bk lambda k, so I just remind you, this was from chapter 1D, the fourth part of chapter 1. I remind you that the inverse polynomial, I just repeat the definition, and this is the inverse polynomial. So you can think of this as matrices. Inverse polynomial takes the inverse of the triangular matrix, and we gave an interpretation in terms of the vertical polynomial. A vertical polynomial is this polynomial where sigma mu ni x power I, where mu ni is the sum of the weight of all Motzkin paths, but between brackets means it's a Motzkin path more general. It's Motzkin path starting at level 0 and finishing at level I. And so this matrix of mu and I is exactly the inverse of the proposition. This vertical polynomial are exactly the inverse polynomial. So if you take a sequence of orthogonal polynomial, the inverse sequence is just this sequence mu and I. So you are taking more general Motzkin paths. The Motzkin paths have length n and finish at level I, and with the weight bk lambda k. And I have to give interpretation. My two operators S and Q are going to be interpreted by this kind of path. Because I am taking the inverse polynomial, inverse matrix, and I have to show that this inverse polynomial derivative function is S of t exponential of Q of t. So I make a modification for mu and I. Instead of working with this path going from level 0 to level I, say when I have this weight, I have 1 for each of these steps, and the weight is 1 when I go up. There is some level and going down, which are bk lambda k. But you guess that of 5 orthogonal Sheffer polynomial, I am going to work with Laguerre history. In Laguerre history, I split the weight everywhere, but here I cannot put I have to be careful, because this step, they don't have an equivalent southeast step related to. So when I split the weight like this, lambda k equal ak minus 1 ck, you see, so now the sum of the star means the weight when I put this 4 possible, I put the weight everywhere on 4 possible steps, that for the Laguerre history, when I go up, when I have blue step, a red step, and when I go down. So now, if you take this weight, which I denote by star, is different than the weight before. The weight before was really for the inverse polynomial. With bk lambda k, there was a weight 1 here. So if I put this weight for the Laguerre history, then there is a slight modification that what remains is exactly the same weight as before. But you have an extra factor A1, A2, A minus 1 here. In fact, to do the combinatorics of the delta operator, Q, S, and Q, it's better to reverse the path and start from level I and going till level 0. So I denote by mu and I bar the sum of the weight of all these paths going from level I to level 0 with this valuation, with 4 possible valuation. And you see now here I have this extra step. And this weight mu and I is the same as mu and I, but with this extra factor. Because each of the southeast step does not have a corresponding northeast step. Inside each of this green, everything is okay, the valuation star or not star is the same, but here I am working with mu and I for the inverse polynomial. So mu and I is almost the same as this, but you have to divide by C1, C. And working with orthogonal polynomial, in fact, we have seen that the ck equal k. So the mu and I for the inverse polynomial, which is going to give me the 2 delta operator, is 1 over factorial I of this. Except for the Mexner-Polacek, ck is k over 1. There is an extra factor 1 over. So for the Mexner-Polacek, you have a slight modification. You have again this divided I factorial multiplied by 1 minus c power I. So now you see what I am going to do. The 5 Scheffer polynomial orthogonal, they come all of them with Laguerre history. So I am going to do Laguerre history on starting from a level I, which is much easier than the Laguerre history, because if you start from level 0 ending in level I, you have still I cells which are empty in the construction of the history. But it's much better to start with, at the beginning, with I many cells which are open, and then to close everybody and doing like a Laguerre history, but for starting not from a single empty cell, but many empty cells. And so I am going to, I need restricted Laguerre history again, and enlarge. I need for the S and Q both kind of Laguerre history. So I just remind you that the general Scheffer, the bk lambda k equals this. Then I split the valuation with, again, to always the same. I repeat this slide, I repeat them. And when you do, see, the weight of all the Motzkin paths becomes this weight with the 4 valuation. V star of omega is for the enlarge. I will need the both Laguerre history. The Laguerre history giving moment n plus 1 factorial with this valuation, and Laguerre history giving the moment a restricted Laguerre. Instead of having k plus 1, k plus 1, k plus 1 everywhere, I will take the restricted Laguerre history, where you have a restriction here. And here the bk lambda k are a little less. And for the restricted Laguerre, the moment is n factorial. And here the moment is n plus 1 factorial. In fact, it's better to use restricted Laguerre with the parameter beta. So if you well remember, the beta, the restricted Laguerre means the first cell is, you keep it always empty. If you use the operator A or K, then you can put it in the first cell, but you have to open a new cell on the left. And when you do that, you have a weight beta. This is the first choice is beta. But here you are not allowed to use the first choice, so this is why there is not k plus 1 here. And so in that case, the moment for the restricted Laguerre is equal to this enumeration or permutation by left to right minimum element or by number of cycles. And then now I can go with delta operator QNS for Laguerre, and then I will do for the general Scheffer, orthogonal polynomial. So I go back to this notation, you see, mu and I is 1 over factorial. This is a sum of the weight of the path of length n starting at level I. So which means at level 0 I have only 1 empty cell. So now this is extension of Laguerre history. You have I plus 1 cell. This is a cell which always must be open in the Laguerre history. That's the regular restricted Laguerre for permutation. And this is all new cell. And then I'm going to do the Laguerre history. I am going to do the restriction Laguerre history on this I+1 cell. So each time here on the green cell at the beginning, you are going to construct. At the end, you will have a binary tree or a permutation. But the green one will be different from the binary tree you get here. So you get in each cell, at the end, all the cells will be closed, except the green cell will be open here at the end. So here, you will have binary tree or permutation, weighted permutation, or weighted increasing binary trees, like you prefer. Maybe binary is better because you can really see the block, the different block, different binary tree here, 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 and here. And in fact, because I divide by I factorial, so what I have is an assembly of this binary tree, of this permutation, same, coming from this I cell, you see. And because you start with an empty cell and you finish, there is no more empty cell. So here, you are working with Laguerre history, the large Laguerre history. Here, because you always leave an empty cell on the left, you are working with the restricted Laguerre. And so here, for this tree, or this permutation, as you prefer it, when you fill up this in this cell, you are only lowered the operator A and K. A was the operator which opened a new cell on the left and the right, and K, you open only one cell on the left. So if you can put here A and K, this is for general Laguerre, as soon as you open. But these two operators, J and S, where you open only a cell on the right, or S, you don't open any cell, you are not allowed to put them here. So on the brown cell, you are allowed to do the 4 operator. Which means that, you see, the first tree, or the first permutation, is constructed with a restricted Laguerre history. And the other three are constructed the same way as the Laguerre history. So if I was working only with Laguerre history, here the weight will be like this. And here on the green tree, here, the green permutation, the weight will be like this with the beta. So see, the parameter beta is going to accumulate on this part here. If you think of binary tree, the left branch of the binary tree, but here beta will disappear here. Only beta will concentrate on this tree, or on this permutation, as you like it. So here I am working with restricted Laguerre history, and all this tree here, I am working with large regular Laguerre history, giving n+1 factorial here. Here giving n factorial. And I'm taking assembly of this because of the division by I factorial. Except the Mexner-Pollaczek, I have the factor 1 over 1 minus c, but I can control this factor. But in general, everywhere is divided by this because of the way of taking the path, you see. That's the trick. You have to take the path, starting at level I, finishing at level 0, and I have an assembly. I have to divide by a factorial. If I was doing the reverse, starting at level 0, and then ending with many empty cells, I will not see the assembly of. It's better to do the reverse, do the mirror image, change the few factors to change, and you get this construction. And so for the Laguerre polynomial, what are the operator S and Q, the delta operator S and Q? They are exactly, because of the previous theorem you have seen, for the Laguerre history, this G in the construction of mu and I is exactly the derivative function of S, the S operator. So the derivative function is a derivative function of permutation with the parameter beta. So the mu n, the S of t, the S operator for Laguerre is exactly the derivative function of the moment with the beta, which is this, the number of permutation by number of cycle. And now the Q is a derivative function for general Laguerre. And you get n factorial. It's not n+1 factorial, it's n factorial because each block, if I have only 1 point, it will be 1. If I have 2 points, it will be 2 factorial. So here you get permutation. And so your Q operator, delta operator Q for Laguerre, is exactly this derivative function of n factorial. It's 1 over 1 minus t. And we have seen that working with Laguerre history, you can get the 5 Schaeffer by putting more parameter or by restricting the history. And so I can make the 5 Schaeffer. So this is Hermite, Laguerre, they are all of this type, like this. In fact, I can make much more general. I can take this type. We have seen in the class that if I take bk equals this, I put more parameter. I take lambda k equals this, with there is 6 parameter. And then I get the moment is a derivative function for permutation. So there is a variable a, b, c, d, counting permutation by a number of peak, of trough, of valley, of double rise, double descent. And then this was counting permutation by number of cycle or by number of left to right minimum element. And then there was 2 variables, if the cycle is a fixed point or not a fixed point. There was distinction for the 2 parameter alpha and beta. So this was 6 parameter, and this was derivative function for this bk lambda k here. This is interpretation in terms of word, of permutation, and this is interpretation in terms of cycle. This was both interpretation was isomorphic. So we have seen this in the previous chapter, and the 4th variable here was cycle valley, cycle peak, cycle double descent, cycle double rise, and you have fixed point and number of cycle. And in fact, there was 3 interpretations. There was one more with Laguerre of segment. And you have, so these 3 parameters, the A, B, C, D correspond to these 4 operators. Alpha and beta correspond to the first choice. And even you can take the last choice and have more parameters when you work with Laguerre. Even I show 12 parameters possible. So I go back to my construction of the extension of Laguerre history. This is a restricted Laguerre history on the whole set of this, but the restriction will be only on this side. There will be no restriction. So if you take this weight here, then you will get, for the green part, for this part here, this tree or this permutation will be constructed with this weight, with this, and here on this part, it will be constructed with this weight. You see here, I have k plus 1, k plus 1, k plus 1, k plus 1 everywhere, for the large Laguerre history. I have A, B, C, D, the 4 possible parameters to count each time which operator I use, A, S, K, or J. And here you see there is an extra, because the beta counts when you take the first choice in this word here. So when you choose the green empty cell, which is always in the first position. And here it says there is k plus 1. Here there is not the plus 1 here. It's because I have the restriction of restricted Laguerre, which is only applied for this green part. And for this one, the lambda k bk equals this. And so the interpretation, you see, I have the interpretation of the operator S and D. So for the G, operator S is a moment, is the sum of the weight of paths with this valuation, and for the operator Q, the species F is the sum of weighted paths for this valuation. So this is Q of t is written sum of paths, weighted paths like this, and S of t given by this. So see Q and S are generating function of some moments of some polynomial. On the left part, it's exactly the moment, but the Q, it's not exactly the moment. There is a restriction. You lose the beta and etc. The first choice is always concentrated on this part. So for the very general, this is the mu n is going to be for this valuation. The mu n is going to be this, and for the red part, you lose these two. You lose alpha beta. You get this. Sum of all permutation. So this will be the coefficient for the operator Q. And now I can conclude by taking a specific, the 5 Schaeffer. It's a special case of the very general Schaeffer with more parameters than necessary. So if you have, so the Bn, for the 3 Bn constructed with restricted Laguerre, this is the weight we have seen we have seen this for the 5 possible Schaeffer. And this is the weight for the general Laguerre history, for all the other cells which are on the right. So sorry to go fast, you look the table and you can, and then if you apply, so interpretation of operator S and Q is the sum of the weight of paths for this valuation and for this valuation. And so you get operator S and Q. This is a gerative function for the operator S. It's an exponential gerative function of the mu n, the moment, which we have seen for the 5 Schaeffer. The Qn is something slightly different. So you see the Qn for the Hermite, you see the gerative function is only reduced to x. For the Charlier, the Qn is a coefficient of t power 1 over n factorial is 1. So for the Charlier, this is exponential of t minus 1, the gerative function. This is 1, so this is the Hermite Charlier. And here you get exactly the same as here, but say the modification, the beta disappears, the eta disappears. And here there is something, there is a C bar, because C is counting number of valley, but for the restricted or enlarged, the valley, there is a convention. For the enlarged Laguerre history, you have a 0 on both sides of the permutation. For the restricted, there were infinite on the left and 0 on the right. So there is a slight modification, which means this notation here. And then you can take the gerative function of this, and you get the operator S and Q, gerating function of this moment. So you see S and Q, here the exponential gerative function of this operator. I really get S and Q as some moment or sum of weight or modified moment. So S and Q, I am in the side of the path, you see. Orthogonal polynomial, it's totally different. We have explained the whole chapter, combinatorial interpretation of Laguerre, Hermite, etc., etc. This was, and here I am with the moment, which give an interpretation of the two operators S and Q. So this is the Hermite, you see, this is the T and the Charlier e power T minus 1. So Laguerre, you see, it's both sides. Here you get the parameter beta. In this number of permutation by number of cycle, here you lose the beta. Yeah, totally different. This is Hermite. This is Appel. It's Appel type polynomial. So you get your cycle of length 2, and here you get the fixed point. In the picture, there was G and F. G and assembly of F. G was the blue part. It's going to be involution with no fixed point. And all the red part, the assembly of F species, each F is a single point. Here it's X. So this was Appel type polynomial for. So you get the gerative function for Hermite polynomial, exponential of this minus xt, etc. So from this tableau, from this S and Q, and applying this formula, so you get. So we have the gerative function S and Q. You get it from the moment of this extension of Laguerre and restricted and enlarged history. You get S and Q from this sum of weight of some paths, going from level 0 to level I, or from level I to 0. I get the gerative function. Now, if I apply this formula, so you have to take the reciprocal of Q. Here, you have to take inverse of S of reciprocal. And if you apply this for each of these polynomials here, then you should get back. I say you should because I have another table on my memoir in 83. It's not exactly the same, but because there is sometimes some slight change of definition. See, they are not completely fixed, the definition of orthogonal. There was a combinatorial Hermite, probabilist Hermite, for Mexnem, extrapolatic. Also, sometimes up to a renomination or change of factor, it can be slightly different definition. But then from applying from this tableau, if you apply, if you compute the reciprocal of the power series, etc., you should get back this 5 gerating function, which is exponential gerating function of the 5 orthogonal Schaeffer polynomial. And we have done what I promised, to have an interpretation of the operator S and Q. Now the interpretation is in terms of moments or analog of moments for the extension path going from level 0 to level I. And I have an assembly of such as this. So you see the combinatorial interpretation of the operator is given by S and Q, given by a restricted and large history. And you see we have again a duality between orthogonal polynomial and moments And in that case of the chapter 5c, the duality is the inversion of Lagrange. Lagrange inversion formula in the power theory. This is again the duality where, so many times in the class, there was a duality between the polynomials themselves, the moment, and here going from this side to this side, you have to take the Lagrange inversion of power theory. So this is the end of chapter 5, and tomorrow, so I will give an epilogue. It's so it's kind of festival of bijection of the whole 4 years of ABGC, the art, or what I call the art of bijective combinatorics. So it can be followed independently. It's going to be 1 hour and a half, or maybe 1 hour 45 minutes. So it will be a talk I already gave for Cartan-Thaler 60th birthday. So it's it's supposed to people who don't follow the course, but it will give you an overview, especially of chapters, part 2, part 3, part 4, because I have not, at the end of the chapter 6, I have given the relationship between chapter 6 and the PASEP. So you will see here the relationship with PASEP, Askey-Wilson polynomial, etc., etc. And so it's tomorrow, Thursday 4, and March 4 is 3/14, so which is called the Pi Day. So to celebrate the Pi Day, there will be this epilogue of the 4 parts. So thank you very much.